Hey there guys, what's going on? So, in the quest to get better light out of these halogen housings on my 2020 Ram 1500, you already saw the video where we did the fog lights, and now I'm going to move on to the high beam headlights. I decided to do those before I do the low beams. We're going to probably do the low beams in a few weeks. So anyhow, let me show you what I got into here. Yeah, I mean, the thing about it is that this gets kind of pricey if you do it the right way, so that's why I'm spreading it out over the course of a couple of months here. But these are the GTR Lighting Ultra 2s. These are the ones that just came out at the end of last year, and you can see that these things have some really nice looking hardware with them also. These I got from Headlight Revolution, and I'm having a little trouble getting them out of the box here, so give me just a second. Voila, that's more like it. Okay, so anyhow, these things have a really nice build quality to them, and the really neat thing about these is that these are the first ones available where they actually purpose built an LED chip for automotive grade use. In the past, you know, a lot of these LED bulbs, well, all these LED bulbs, they just pretty much found some LED chips that they thought would work, and they put them on a PCB and slapped them in there. Well, this bulb right here has a automotive grade purpose-built LED chip in it, specifically made for this application. And it's the proper depth, so when we take out the stock 9005 high beam halogen bulb, you'll notice that from the mounting collar up to where the filament is, that distance is going to be exactly the same as what we see here. So that's very important to have the right length, you know, and then of course your chip set is very important, and the width, everything as far as the measurements go and the build quality on this bulb is set up perfectly for this particular application. So on the bulb itself, you have an adjustable collar there so that you can clock this bulb the way you want it, because when you put this in, obviously you want the chips to be facing 3 and 9. You know, and depending on the vehicle, you might put it in and it could be clocked like this or like that. So they make it to where it's adjustable, and you can actually turn that to where you need it and get it perfect for your particular application. And they do give you a nice little Allen key tool there and stuff to do that with. Now moving on down, see a really small, high quality but small driver, ballast, whatever you want to call it. So this is nice because being smaller like this is going to make it easier to mount. You know, you got to get all of this stuff inside your housing so you can put your dust cap back on. So the smaller they can build this stuff, the better. Obviously it is fan cooled, so you've got a really nice looking heat sink there with a fan built in to keep it cool. That way you can push, or they can push as much power through this as possible without overheating it. Now, it's like I've said many times before, it pays to go ahead and spend the extra money. Yeah, you're getting something that's really expensive, but you're also getting something that's going to work perfectly. It's going to give you the most light output you can get from an LED, the best beam pattern you can get, and it's going to last forever because these have a lifetime warranty on them. So go ahead and fork over the extra money. You know, a lot of guys get on eBay, Amazon, someplace like that, and they order really cheap LED bulbs, 30 or 40 bucks, and then they throw glare all over the road. And that's what gives these LED bulbs a bad reputation, is because people buy junk. If you spend the extra money and get something quality like this, you won't have any of those problems. So obviously what we need to do now is go back out in the field again when it gets dark tonight, turn the high beams on, and show you what the stock 9005 halogen bulbs look like. And then once we pop these in, you know, my son and I will go back out there and we'll show you what the LEDs look like from GTR Lighting. It's going to be a gigantic upgrade, but we'll do the before and after just so we can show you. It's going to be really cool. Thanks. We'll be back in a little while. Okay guys, so it's finally getting a little dark outside. I'm going to take the usual path around the field, down along the fence row. When I get to my spot down here, I'll stop and we'll kind of take a look at what these 9005 halogen high beam bulbs look like. Of course, it's a full moon tonight, so it's not going to get completely dark out here. But let's stop right here for just a moment. So these are the high beams. The thing about the Rams is that you have separate high and low beam lights. So obviously your low beams stay on all the time. But when I flip on the high beams there, you can see that they have a really scattered pattern. They do kind of reach out there, but it's a very yellowish looking light. It's not super bright or anything. In fact, if I turn off the high beams and turn on the fogs, again, these I've already got Supernova V4 bulbs in the fogs, and they really outshine the headlights. It's kind of crazy. So that's why I'm really anxious to see what these LEDs are going to do in the high beams. But you can see some coverage up high above that utility trailer down there in the enclosed trailer. Well, it doesn't make a lot of difference, but obviously the high beams do get out pretty far down the road. They're just not very bright, and the beam pattern doesn't really have a hot spot. Not a whole lot of a hot spot that you can detect there. That fence row that we're pointed toward is probably about 150, 175 feet away from the truck. So sorry about that. Again, there is some pretty good distance there, just not very bright. I'm going to drive on down toward it a little bit here. So now let's go check out these GTR Lighting Ultra 2s and do a comparison. So here's something that I didn't know about the Ram when I first got it, and it kind of tripped me out for a little while. When you steer left or steer right, let's say you don't have the fog lights on, when you take a left hand or a right hand turn, the truck will automatically, see that? It'll automatically turn on the fog bulb that corresponds to the direction you're turning. So if I want to turn, to the left, it'll automatically turn on the fog bulb to that side. If I want to steer to the right, it'll turn that bulb on. And I guess the idea is to give you a little better coverage of where you're turning so that you can see, the path you're taking into the entrance in the dark or whatever. So that's actually a pretty neat feature. I've never had anything like that before. It took me a little while to figure out what was going on, and then once I realized what it was, I was like, hey, that's a pretty cool feature. Hopefully you'll be able to see it, but kind of at a weird angle here, but you can see how when you put the mounting collars side by side there, that the filament on the halogen bulb and the chipset on the LED bulb are the same depth. And so when they're sitting inside your housing, they're going to be at the same depth. And that's part of the reason that you get such an awesome beam pattern with these quality LED bulbs, is because they design them and place everything where it needs to be. Okay, so it's really hard to see probably, but I just installed it, and hopefully you can tell that the chips are not pointing 3 and 9 o'clock. So this is not good, and that means I'm going to have to take it out and clock it like I was talking about yesterday. So this is just one of those things you're going to have to do depending on your vehicle. You got to make sure it's clocked properly so that it will give you the beam pattern you want. So I got to take this back out now and just use that little tool that they included with the kit and clock it the way it's supposed to be. Alright, so to clock these particular bulbs, what you're going to want to do is roll the O-ring back a little bit, and you can see it's actually not an Allen key. It's sort of a hex or a star bit is what you need actually on these. But like I said, they do give you the little tool, and it's got the proper types of ends on it there to get in there and do what you need to do. So I'm just going to loosen this up, and it looked like to me that I only need to clock it about 15 degrees to get it to sit the way I want to in the truck. Alright, so I got it clocked about 15 degrees counterclockwise, and now you can see that it's positioned in there the way it's supposed to be. The LED chips are facing 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock, and that is exactly what we're looking for. So now all we have to do is stuff everything down inside of the housing and try to get the dust cap back on, and we'll do the other side. Okay, so I got them both installed. They're both turned on, and they're both super bright out here in the middle of the day, I can't even look at them. So I can't wait till it gets dark tonight so we can go out and do a comparison. Okay, so it's time to go around the field with these new GTR Lighting Ultra 2 bulbs. Go ahead and flip them on. Wow. You can already see the massive hot spot that these things have. So let me pull on around the field here by the fence row. Take the same path I took last night with the stock high beam bulbs. Yeah, you can already see a massive difference in these things. Of course, there's the moon, really bright moon again tonight, but I think right about here's where we were last night. 150, 175 feet out. So yeah, big difference. Let me turn these off. Low beams, high beams. big difference. So, and you can also tell the difference in color temperature. These high beams are a lot wider light. But here's the things that I'm noticing to the naked eye. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but first of all, the intensity is way more. I mean, it's just a very intense light. But more importantly than that, the field of coverage is much larger. Whereas last night with the when we were looking at those stock bulbs, it was kind of shining up to about the top of that black enclosed trailer out there. But now you can see that these shine way up above it and farther to the left and the right. See if I go back down to the low beams. So I mean, just a large field of light and a lot more intensity of light also. It's a massive difference, and combined with the well, whenever I get my taser programmer hooked back up where I can have the fog lights and the high beams on at the same time again, combined with the fogs, it's going to be just a really awesome amount of light output. So you can see the really intense hot spot as I'm kind of driving through the field here, so the front of the truck's kind of going up and down, but when I go down those little dips, you can really see the hot spot. So again, you can just tell a massive difference. Is it worth $200? Yeah, I think so, because if you can't I mean, this is one of the more important things, is being able to see at night if you're out on a dark, desolate highway, you know, and especially where I live, we have a lot of deer and things. So, you know, being able to see really well is very important. And this is one of those things I think it's worth it to spend the money on. So I'm pretty happy with this. I can't wait to be able to do the low beams also. I think I'm going to get the GTRs for the low beams too, because these are they're just so awesome. So yeah, there they are. Give you a nice comparison. And like I said, these also have a lifetime warranty, so I don't have to worry about them ever again, which is cool. One more time just for fun, there's the supernova fogs combined with the low beams. Those are really bright, but then when I turn on the high beam. So there you go, guys. Nice little comparison for you. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna head to the house now because it's about time to go to bed. So stay tuned for the next video. Thanks a lot.